What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Randy here with RTS Mobile Gaming, bringing you a fantastic Lord of the Rings Rise to War video today. We are talking about Tier 3 commanders to start with, Tier 2 commanders to start with, and Tier 1 commanders to start with. I will be covering 6 total commanders to start off Season 3 strong. Now, these commanders may not be the ones that I prioritize getting to level 50 first, but these are the commanders that I will be using to get up into the mid-30s and give myself a huge leg up, grab a 200 tile, and start mocking up some of the endgame commanders, okay? So let's get right into it. All right, so again, 6 commanders. We're going to talk about what I would do with their first 22 skill points. For some of you, that means when they hit level 10. For some of you, that means when they hit level 15. But either way, you will be able to achieve these 22 skill point builds in the first day of playing, all right? So let's get into it. My first commander, who I cannot leave off the list, of course, is Witch King. He was level 50 on day 9 of Season 2. I got him up there quickly because he does ginormous damage, okay? He is able to pump out the deeps. So with my first 22 skill points, I would maximize the Black Captain. That'll be 15, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and maximize Convener next, okay? So we have the Black Captain for 30% damage output from my evil troops, okay? And then we have the Convener, which is going to give me a double strike for the first 2 rounds. This is going to be, you're basically living the philosophy of a good defense. The best defense is a good offense, okay? By killing all of the enemy troops in the first 2 rounds, and killing at least half of the enemy troops in the first 2 rounds, you will not be taking very much damage later on in the fight, okay? So, Witch King, 22 points, there it is. The next commander that we're going to talk about in today's video is going to be Gandalf the White. He is a phenomenal commander. I really like him. He's one of my favorites, but he's very strong as an early game hero because the wizard ability gives you a guaranteed stun against 2 enemies with 1 single point invested, okay? So, what would I do if I was running Gandalf the White? Well, I'd have a point here into the wizard, okay? And then I'd have 2 points here into the white. I'd have a point here into blindside, okay? So now we're up to 4 points out of 22. The next points I would be getting here, I would be maxing out the rider and putting my leftover points into horsemanship, okay? So the rider and horsemanship will be fantastic damage to mounted units early on. Pick up some tier 2 cavalry, no problem. End of day 1. Boom, you have Gandalf the White with 22 points. He's got a stun in round 1. He's got a stun in round 3, okay? And he's got fantastic damage output, all right? So, Gandalf the White, my favorite tier 3 good commander for Season 3, okay? Next, we have the tier 2 commanders, ladies and gentlemen. And how can I talk about tier 2 commanders without talking about Lertz? Lertz was my other commander that I focused on getting to level 40 right away in Season 2, and I do not regret it. Lertz's ability with 22 skill points to invest into Uruk-hai Firstborn and then pick up the raid talent here is absolutely phenomenal. This is going to be ginormous damage output, ladies and gentlemen, in the first couple rounds of the fight, okay? So here in round 1, we're going to trigger the raid ability. This is going to hit 1, potentially 2 enemies for fantastic damage. Once you get into round 3, okay, you're going to have Uruk-hai Firstborn trigger, and you're going to have Raid trigger again, all right? So, very, very nice damage output from Lertz with 22 points between Uruk-hai Firstborn and Raid. Again, living the philosophy that the best defense is a good offense. If you can put out 15 to 20k damage as a level 15 commander early on in the fight in round 1 with Lertz, you're going to kill a significant portion of the low-level PvE enemies, and you will drastically reduce the damage that you take, okay? So, we also can't talk about Tier 2 commanders for Season 3 without talking about the other Gandalf, Gandalf the Grey, okay? Gandalf the Grey I actually like better than Gandalf the White for a starting commander. He has the same 1-point investment for a stun from Wizard. He has the same 3-point investment for another stun from Blindside, as well as a little bit of healing from the Grey. But point-wise, with him, I would definitely be maxing out Mithrandir, which will give you an avoidance in the first round of the fight. And then I'd put 6 points into Convener, 1 point into Wizard, okay? So the 1 point into the Wizard will give you a stun on 2 enemies in round 1, Okay, 15 points into Mithrandir will give you avoidance for the next instance of damage received in round 2. And then in both rounds 1 and 2, you will be getting a chance to get the double strike with your army, okay? So he'll have fantastic early game potential. He's really strong all the way up until the late game. He starts to drop off a little bit for PvE, but he is still a very strong commander. So with 22 skill points, Gandalf the Grey is actually probably second only behind the Witch King, because he has the same convener double attack, but he has this guaranteed stun, this guaranteed avoidance, and just enormous damage, reduced damage dealt by the enemy army, okay? So Gandalf has a good mixture for the first 2 rounds of offense and defense, all right? So just to put that in perspective, my 2 out of all the commanders I'm talking about today, let's cover Tier 1. I'll cover that in a second. Get excited. For the Tier 1 commanders, ladies and gentlemen, I have to say, Haldir really takes the cake. This guy is absolutely insane. He is so underappreciated, and I can just hear my good buddy Vernath just rolling around. Yes, eating whipped cream. Is so excited that I'm talking about Haldir. Haldir, guys, is insane. If you have not seen him with Respect 0, you can pick up the guide, which is going to give you enormous damage to all of your units for the first 2 rounds of the fight, okay, as well as stun immunity for your army. And then you can pick up the Armed Escort, which is going to be fantastic. Well, it'll be decent damage, but pretty decent early game healing as well, okay? So the Armed Escort's going to be a great heal on round 2 with a little bit of damage. Guide's going to be phenomenal damage output for your entire army for rounds 1 and 2 combined. Okay, 45% damage bonus there. You cannot miss out on Haldir. In fact, Haldir, out of all the commanders we've just mentioned right now, I'd probably put Haldir at rank 3, okay? And then lastly, the evil Tier 1 commander that I would recommend using if you are evil here will be Khaldun, okay? Khaldun. So evil doesn't really have a whole lot of great Tier 1 commanders that are strong early on in the fight, they're a good mid-game. You really need the level 35 plus with enough skill points to max out 1 or 2, 1.5 trees here, and your Tier 1 evil commanders become very powerful. However, until then, Khaldun is extremely strong with his Respect 5 talent tree, Marshal of the East Mark, and Quicksand, okay? Quicksand will give the enemy units, 2 of the enemy units, a 20% increased damage received debuff. It will also give a 10% chance to stun them every round. And then you have a 50% chance of reducing the damage you receive by 30%. So it basically averages out to a 15% reduced damage received for your army, 20% increased damage dealt by your army, and a potential stun, okay? So with 22 points and a Respect 5 Khaldun, you can definitely get some decent early game performance, okay? And it's very easy and natural to slide down into the Easterling later as you continue to level up. Grab the Easterling, grab Evil Alliance or Iron Guard for more defense, okay? So, 6 commanders. The Witch King, Gandalf the White, Lertz, Gandalf the Grey, Khaldun, and Haldir. Boom, baby. Out of those 6 commanders, I would say my top 3, rank 1 commander for Season 3, early game, quick start, massive advantage over all of your friends. Witch King is number 1. Okay, the next commander that we are going to be talking about is going to be Gandalf the Grey. Okay, Gandalf the Grey is going to be number 2. Okay, and then Haldir is going to be number 3. All right, we're looking at just massive, enormous damage output. All right, and yes, Gothmog is similar to Haldir in that he increases his unit's damage by 60% for the first 4 rounds with his R5 talent. However, after using both Lertz and Gothmog last season at the beginning, I can tell you undisputedly that Lertz was slightly better than Gothmog. Okay, so Haldir, being Tier 1, is slightly less damage output than Gothmog. However, the Tier 2 evil slot is going to Lertz, okay? So, there you have it, ladies and gents. I love you all. Long time. That is the selection. You see it right here on the board. I'm not even going to say it out loud. I love you all. Get excited for Season 3. Randy out.